Life is full of doors. Most people walk past them every day without noticing that the key to open them has always been in their hands. The art of asking is that key. It is the simple act of reaching out, of stepping forward, of declaring your desires and your dreams in a way that invites the world to respond. Most people think asking is weakness, that it shows neediness or dependence. But in reality, asking is courage, asking is clarity, asking is action. When you ask, you step into a new dimension of possibility. You turn thoughts into conversations and ideas into opportunities. The most successful people in every field have mastered the art of asking, not because they are entitled, but because they are willing to be visible, willing to be heard, and willing to risk rejection to receive what they desire. This book is not about formulas or empty motivational phrases. It is about stories, real people who dared to ask and received what they wanted. It is about strategies not written as step-by-step checklists, but as living practices that you can breathe into your own life. It is about overcoming fear, finding clarity, building confidence, listening to others, and persisting until your efforts bear fruit. You will read about young women who reached out to mentors they admired and transformed their careers. You will see aspiring entrepreneurs turn casual conversations into partnerships. You will witness moments when a single ask created opportunities that years of effort alone could not produce. Every story illustrates that asking is not about manipulation. It is about connection. It is about connection. It is about stepping fully into your power. As you read this book, you will begin to notice the opportunities around you, the doors that have been waiting for your knock, the people who are waiting for your question, the universe that is waiting for your clarity. Asking is a skill and a mindset. It is the bridge between desire and reality, and it is available to everyone who is willing to practice it. By the end of this journey, you will not only understand the art of asking, you will begin to live it. You will see that when you ask with sincerity, when you ask with clarity, when you ask with courage, the world begins to respond in ways you never imagined, and what you once thought was impossible starts to feel inevitable. Chapter 1. The Power of Asking. There is a power in asking that most people underestimate, a quiet force that transforms thoughts into action and dreams into reality. Most people wander through life waiting for opportunities to fall into their laps, believing that if something is meant for them, it will come on its own. But life does not work that way. The doors you long to open will not knock themselves, and the people who can help you are waiting for someone to reach out. Asking is not weakness. It is not pleading. It is a declaration. It is a statement to the universe and to yourself that you are willing to claim what you desire and take the steps to receive it. To ask is to step out of the shadows of hesitation and into the light of action. Consider the story of Maya. She was a young woman with big dreams and small resources. She wanted to work with an international non-profit organization, but she had no connections, and her resume did not shine like the others. She could have waited and hoped, but instead, she sent a simple, heartfelt email to the director asking for guidance and an opportunity to volunteer. She explained her passion, her willingness to learn, and her desire to contribute. The director replied, inviting her to a volunteer position, and that position became a career that changed her life. Maya had unlocked the door, not because she deserved it more than others, but because she dared to ask. The power of asking lies not only in what you receive, but in how it transforms you. The act of asking gives clarity to your desires and courage to your steps. When you ask, you define what you want and communicate it with intention. You create possibilities that were invisible before, and you signal to the world that you are ready to engage and participate. Asking also builds connection because it invites others into your journey. When you ask genuinely, people are drawn to help, to mentor, to guide, to offer resources and advice. Most doors open not because you demand entry, but because your sincerity inspires collaboration and trust. It is important to understand that asking is a skill like any other. The second step is clarity, knowing what you want in specific terms, because vague wishes rarely attract precise responses. The third step is courage, stepping forward, even when fear whispers that you will fail or be rejected. Asking does not guarantee a yes, but it guarantees a response. It guarantees that you are no longer standing idle and waiting. It guarantees that you are participating in the dance of life rather than watching from the sidelines. And every no you encounter is a lesson, a redirection, and an opportunity to refine your approach. Think of asking as planting a seed. Every question, every request, every expression of desire is a seed in the garden of your life. Some seeds sprout immediately, others take time, but every seed has the potential to grow into something beautiful and life-changing. The courage to ask is the courage to plant the seeds that will become the trees under which your dreams will one day flourish. Maya's story and countless others show that the world responds to those who are willing to step forward to communicate their needs and desires. Asking is not about entitlement. It is about participation. It is about creating the bridge between what you want. It is the spark that ignites action and invites opportunity. As you move through this book, you will begin to see that asking is not just about getting things. It is about stepping fully into your own power. It is about recognizing that you have a voice that matters, that your desires are worthy, and that by reaching out, you can transform both your life and the lives of those around you. The power of asking is the power to engage the universe and claim your possibilities. Chapter 2. Overcoming Fear. Fear is the invisible barrier that keeps most people from asking. It whispers that you are not enough, that you are unworthy, that rejection will define you, and that it is safer to remain silent. Everyone feels fear. Even the most confident and accomplished people. Behind every smile and every success, there is a moment when they felt afraid, but they chose to act anyway. Fear thrives on uncertainty. It grows in the space between desire and action. It tells you to wait, to hesitate, to doubt your abilities. But fear is also a signal that something important is at stake, that you are on the edge of growth. The key is not to eliminate fear, but to move forward in spite of it, to let courage guide your steps, even when your heart pounds and your mind shouts no. Consider James, an aspiring writer who dreamed of meeting a published novelist whose work had shaped his life. For years he imagined the encounter, convinced that the author would be too busy or too important to notice him, that rejection was inevitable. One day, he took a deep breath and wrote a letter explaining his admiration and his struggles. He asked for guidance and for a chance to attend a workshop. The reply came inviting him to the workshop, and that meeting transformed his career. James had not eliminated his fear, but he had acted despite it. Fear can be overcome by reframing it as information rather than as a verdict. It tells you that something matters, that your desires are significant, and that taking action requires courage. When you shift, the stories of people who have succeeded despite fear are endless. Think of a young entrepreneur who trembled as he pitched his first idea to investors, or a student who asked for mentorship from a leader she admired, or an artist who shared their work with the world for the first time. In every case, the fear was real, but it did not stop them. They moved forward, and in doing so transformed not only their circumstances, but their sense of self. Practical courage is built gradually by taking small steps of asking in everyday life. It might begin with a simple question to a colleague, a request for feedback, a conversation with someone you admire, or a small act of vulnerability. Fear diminishes with each action, and confidence grows with each yes or no received. It is also important to understand that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply a response to timing, alignment, or circumstances. Asking is about seeking connection and opportunity, not about forcing outcomes. Every no brings you yes and teaches you how to refine your approach. Fear cannot stop you if you choose to see it as a companion rather than a jailer. If you recognize that fear signals importance, that it is a marker of growth, and that every act of asking is a declaration of courage, then you begin to transform your relationship with it. The art of asking is inseparable from the art of moving forward despite fear. As you practice asking, you will notice fear becoming smaller, the hesitation fading, the moments of doubt replaced by action. You will see that most doors that once seemed closed are now opening, and the universe is responding to your courage. The first step to overcoming fear is simply to ask, and to keep asking until the barrier between desire and reality dissolves. Chapter 3. Knowing what you want. Before you can ask effectively, you must first know what you want. Clarity is the foundation of every successful ask. Most people wander through life with vague hopes, and they say, "I want success," or "I want happiness," or "I want recognition," but without specificity, their desires remain invisible to the world. The act of asking requires precision, because the universe responds to clear signals, not to wishful thinking. Knowing what you want is not simply listing goals. It is about seeing your desires in vivid detail. It is about feeling them fully and understanding why they matter. Anna was a young teacher who dreamed of starting her own educational platform. At first, she told everyone, "I want to make money in tech," but this statement was too broad. It did not convey her passion or her vision. When she reflected deeply, she realized what she truly wanted was to create an online platform that helped teachers design interactive lessons and engage students more effectively. Once she could articulate this vision clearly, she could communicate it to potential partners, mentors, and investors in a way that inspired support and collaboration. Clarity also allows you to ask confidently. It is difficult to ask for something when you are unsure of what it is you truly desire. When your request is vague, others are unsure how to respond, but when your request is precise, people can see the possibilities and align with your vision. Knowing what you want gives you power. It focuses your energy and your words so that your ask is both compelling and actionable. Think of a sculptor facing a block of marble. It is the vision in the mind and heart of the sculptor that guides each movement, every strike, every decision. In the same way, clarity of desire shapes the questions you ask, the conversations you initiate, and the opportunities you pursue. Knowing what you want also means understanding the deeper why behind it. Why do you seek this job, this partnership, this opportunity? Why does this goal matter to you? Why will it make your life or the lives of others better? When you can answer these questions, your ask carries authenticity and conviction. People are drawn to clarity because it signals purpose and intention. Take the example of Miguel, who wanted to write a book and have it published. He initially approached agents with vague proposals and received polite rejections. When he took the time to articulate that his book was about helping young people overcome self-doubt through practical exercises and relatable stories, he could present a compelling case that resonated with publishers. The clarity of his vision transformed his approach and ultimately led to a publishing contract. Clarity also helps you anticipate obstacles and refine your ask. It allows you to see where support is needed, who to approach, and how to frame your request effectively. Without knowing exactly what you want, you risk asking in ways that confuse or disengage those who could help. Asking without knowing what you want is like sailing without a compass. You may move forward, but you will drift aimlessly and miss the destinations that matter the most. Knowing your desires is the first act of courage. It is the moment you stop hoping vaguely and begin shaping reality with intention. Once you know what you want, the act of asking becomes not just possible, but powerful. When you cultivate clarity, you begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before, doors that align with your vision, and people whose resources and guidance match your needs. The act of knowing what you want transforms you from a passive dreamer into an active participant in your own life, and it prepares you to ask with confidence. Courage and Precision. Chapter 4. Asking with confidence. Confidence is the bridge between knowing what you want and actually receiving it. It is the energy that allows your ask to carry weight, not because you demand it, But because you believe in its value and in your own ability to contribute, confidence is not arrogance. It is the quiet assurance that what you are asking for is valid and that your voice matters. Many people hesitate because they doubt themselves. They think others are too busy, too important, or too successful to respond to them. They fear sounding foolish or imposing. But confidence changes everything. When you ask with sincerity and certainty, people feel it. They respond not just to the words, but to the energy behind them. Consider David, a young entrepreneur who had developed an innovative idea for a sustainable product. He wanted to pitch his startup to investors, but he felt intimidated by the experience and reputation of those in the room. He rehearsed endlessly and reminded himself of the value of his idea and the preparation he had done. When he finally walked into the room and spoke clearly and passionately about his vision, the investors were drawn to his energy and conviction, and he secured the funding he had dreamed of. Confidence comes from preparation and clarity. When you know exactly what you want and why it matters, you can present it in a way that inspires trust and interest. It is not about pretending to know everything. It is about embracing your expertise and your perspective and sharing it fully without hesitation. Think of confidence as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Each time you ask for help, guidance, a favor, or an opportunity, you are strengthening that muscle. Each conversation you initiate, each step you take outside your comfort zone adds to your capacity to ask boldly and authentically. Confidence also involves owning your worth without comparing yourself to others. It is the understanding that your desires are legitimate and that your ask is a natural part of human interaction. When you ask from a place of authenticity, people sense it and are more willing to respond positively. Consider Sarah, a manager who wanted to implement a new process in her department. She approached her team with clarity and confidence, explaining the benefits and listening to feedback. The team was drawn to her leadership, not just because of the plan, but because of the certainty and trust she radiated. Confidence allows your ideas and requests to land with clarity and impact. Another important aspect of confidence is learning to handle resistance with grace. When someone says no or hesitates, a confident asker does not crumble. Instead, they acknowledge the response and explore other possibilities. They remain poised because their confidence is rooted not in a single outcome, but in their vision and persistence. Confidence in asking is also contagious. When you approach someone with belief in your vision and respect for their input, they are more likely to engage and collaborate. Confidence invites cooperation, it encourages openness, and it turns your ask from a request into a conversation about possibility. Asking with confidence transforms both your experience and the response you receive. It turns fear into opportunity, doubt into clarity, and hesitation into action. It is the energy that moves ideas from your mind into the world and attracts the support and resources you need to succeed. When you cultivate confidence in asking, you begin to notice that people respond differently. Your words carry weight, your presence commands attention, and doors begin to open that once seemed impossible. The act of asking confidently is an act of courage, an act of self-respect, and an act of participation in the flow of life. Chapter 5. The Art of Listening. Asking is only one side of the conversation. Listening is the other, and often the more powerful side. When you ask without listening, you risk missing the signals, the opportunities, and the insights that others are offering. The true art of asking lies in understanding not only what you want, but what others need, and how your request can align with their interests. Listening creates connection, it builds trust, and it opens doors that words alone cannot open. Many people fail in their asking because they focus entirely on themselves. They speak their request and then wait anxiously for a response without paying attention to what the other person is saying or feeling. When you listen deeply, you gain information. You see possibilities. You notice needs that you can meet, and you can shape your ask in ways that resonate. Consider Sarah, a young manager who wanted to improve her department. She went to her team she noticed patterns, she heard frustrations and hopes, and she used these insights to design a proposal to upper management that reflected both her vision and her team's needs. The result was overwhelming support and a successful implementation because her ask was informed by listening. Listening also shows respect and empathy. When you pay attention to someone else's words and concerns, they feel valued and understood. This makes them more willing to engage with your request and more likely to offer support or guidance. When you listen, you transform your ask from a request into a collaboration. Think of asking and listening as a dance. When you ask without listening, you step on toes. You push too hard or miss the rhythm. When you ask and listen in balance, you create harmony. Your requests are received not as demands, but as invitations to participate. Listening also sharpens your own understanding of what you want. As you hear others' perspectives, you may discover new angles, refine your goals, or uncover opportunities you had not considered. For example, Miguel wanted to publish a book about helping young people overcome self-doubt. He spoke with experienced writers and editors and listened to their feedback on structure, tone, and audience. He adapted his approach and ultimately created a manuscript that was compelling and publishable. Listening gave him clarity and strengthened his ask. Active listening requires presence and openness. It is not simply waiting for your turn to speak. It is fully absorbing the other person's message, noticing both what is said and what is implied. It is asking questions with genuine curiosity and reflecting on the answers. When you integrate listening into your asking, you move beyond superficial requests and create meaningful dialogue. You discover common ground, you see pathways to collaboration, and your requests carry insight and relevance. The art of listening is also a tool for resilience. When faced with rejection or hesitation, you can listen for the reasoning behind it rather than taking it personally. This allows you to adjust your approach, refine your ask, and continue pursuing your goals without discouragement. Asking and listening together create a cycle of engagement that amplifies your power to create opportunities. Listening makes your asks stronger, clearer, and more aligned with reality. It is the bridge between desire and action and the foundation of meaningful connection. When you master the art of listening, you notice that doors begin to open naturally. People respond with guidance, support, and insight, and your requests are received with understanding. The combination of asking boldly and listening attentively transforms not only your outcomes, but also the quality of your relationships and the richness of your life. Chapter 6. Persistence and Patience. Great things rarely come immediately. Most people give up too soon when the first no or the first obstacle appears. They expect life to hand them opportunities on a silver platter, and when it does not, they retreat into doubt and resignation. Yet the truth is that persistence and patience are the silent forces behind most success stories. Asking once is a beginning, but asking repeatedly with clarity, courage, and respect is what transforms possibilities into reality. Persistence is not stubbornness. It is the willingness to keep moving toward your goals despite setbacks. Rejection is not failure. It is feedback. It is information. It is a redirection that teaches you how to refine your approach. Thomas wanted to earn a scholarship to study abroad. He applied to several programs and faced rejection after rejection. Yet he continued to improve his applications, to seek advice, to learn from feedback, and to submit again and again. Finally, he was accepted into a prestigious program that transformed his career. Thomas's story illustrates that the right yes often comes after multiple no's. Patience is equally important because asking is a process and transformation takes time. It is easy to feel discouraged when results are not immediate, but understanding that timing is part of the journey allows you to maintain focus and energy. Many doors require persistence and patience to open because the universe or the people involved need time to align or circumstances need to change. Consider the story of Emma, a young artist who wanted her work displayed in galleries. She reached out to gallery owners, frequently sharing her portfolio and engaging with their staff. She faced polite rejections and long delays. But she persisted and continued refining her craft. Over time, her dedication and consistency were noticed, and she was invited to a major exhibition that launched her career. Persistence kept her visible. Patience allowed her timing to align with opportunity. Persistence also builds confidence, because each attempt strengthens your resilience. Each time you ask, despite fear, hesitation, or doubt, you demonstrate to yourself that you are capable of facing challenges and taking action. This self-reinforcing cycle increases your courage and prepares you for bigger asks. Patience, on the other hand, teaches you discernment. It allows you to recognize which opportunities are worth pursuing immediately and which require preparation. It prevents rash actions and encourages strategic thinking. When combined with persistence, patience ensures that your efforts are not wasted and that your asks land when they are most likely to succeed. Persistence and patience together create momentum. Momentum is invisible at first, but over time, it compounds. Every email sent, every conversation started, every connection nurtured adds to the force that eventually moves mountains. The cumulative effect of small, consistent actions often surpasses the results of a single grand gesture. Think of asking as planting seeds in a garden. Some seeds sprout immediately, others take weeks or months to germinate. Persistence is watering the seeds, and patience is allowing them time to grow. Both are essential to harvest the fruits of your efforts. The most successful people in every field share. They ask repeatedly. They refine their approach. They wait for the right timing. They never confuse rejection with personal failure. And they understand that persistence and patience are part of the process of receiving what they desire. When you integrate persistence and patience into your asking, you notice that obstacles become opportunities for learning. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open, and your goals become increasingly achievable. The act of asking becomes a journey, not a moment, a practice, not a single event, and along that journey you cultivate resilience, courage, and wisdom. Persistence and patience transform the art of asking from a single attempt into a lifelong skill, from an occasional effort into a way of life, and from hope into tangible results. They ensure that your desires are pursued not just with urgency, but with wisdom, and that the world responds to your efforts in time and with alignment. Chapter 7. Building relationships through asking. Asking is not only about receiving, it is also about connecting. The most meaningful opportunities often come from relationships that are nurtured over time, rather than from isolated requests. When you ask with authenticity and respect, you are not only seeking what you want, you are creating bonds with people who can support, guide, and inspire you. Building relationships through asking begins with genuine curiosity and care. When you approach someone you admire, or someone who can help you, do not see them as a means to an end. See them as a person with knowledge, experiences, and insights. Listening attentively, valuing their perspective, and expressing gratitude transforms your ask from a request into a meaningful interaction. Consider Michael, a young professional who wanted to advance in his career. He identified mentors whose experience he admired and reached out to them, not asking immediately for jobs or favors, but for advice and guidance. He asked thoughtful questions, he listened carefully, and he followed up with gratitude and updates on his progress. Over time, those mentors became advocates, providing introductions, opportunities, and support that significantly accelerated his growth. The relationship was strengthened because his asks were rooted in respect and genuine engagement. Relationships built through asking are reciprocal. When you request guidance, assistance, or collaboration, be willing to contribute value in return. This could be through sharing your skills, offering support, or simply showing appreciation. Small gestures reinforce trust and demonstrate that you are invested not just in receiving, but in contributing. Think of asking as planting seeds in the garden of relationships. Each thoughtful question, each genuine request, nurtures connections that can bloom into opportunities. Months or years later, relationships are rarely built overnight. They grow through consistency, care, and authenticity. The story of Lisa illustrates this beautifully. She was a creative designer who wanted to collaborate with a leading studio. She started by reaching out to junior members of the team, asking questions about their workflow, and offering help on small projects. She listened and learned and contributed consistently. Over time, the senior leaders noticed her dedication and passion, and eventually invited her to lead a project. Lisa had built a bridge to opportunity through consistent, respectful asking and listening. Building relationships through asking also involves patience and timing. Sometimes people cannot respond immediately, or they may decline your request. This is not a failure. It is an opportunity to maintain the connection and show appreciation even when the answer is no. By staying engaged and supportive, you strengthen the bond and create future opportunities for collaboration. Networking is often misunderstood as collecting contacts, but true relationship building through asking is about deepening connections. It is about mutual respect, shared learning, and authentic interest. It is about creating a network of people who are willing to support and inspire you, not because you demand it, but because your interactions have demonstrated sincerity and value. Asking with the purpose of building relationships changes the dynamic of your requests. People feel seen and valued rather than used and pressured. They are more likely to respond generously and thoughtfully. Your asks become invitations to participate in a shared journey rather than unilateral demands. When you cultivate the habit of asking in ways that foster relationships, you notice that opportunities multiply. Naturally, doors open more easily, collaborations emerge unexpectedly, and your personal and professional network becomes a source of insight, encouragement, and momentum. The art of asking is inseparable from the art of connecting, and the most enduring rewards often come not from the answers you receive, but from the relationships you create along the way. Chapter 8. Crafting the right ask. Asking is not just about the act of speaking or sending a message. It is about how you shape your request. The right ask is clear, specific, aligned with the needs and interests of the person you are approaching, and delivered with authenticity. When you craft your ask thoughtfully, it becomes irresistible because it shows clarity, purpose, and consideration. Many people fail in asking because they approach it haphazardly. They throw out vague requests hoping someone will respond, or they demand without context. The right ask is neither vague nor forceful. It is intentional. It communicates what you want, why it matters, and how it can benefit or engage the other person. Consider Elena, a young entrepreneur who wanted to secure funding for her startup. She could have said, "I need money," but instead she crafted an ask that reflected clarity and alignment. She explained her vision, her plan, the impact of her product, and how the investor could contribute meaningfully. She also anticipated questions and offered solutions to potential concerns. Her ask was precise, respectful, and compelling, and as a result, she secured the investment. Crafting the right ask begins with understanding both your goals and the perspective of the person you are approaching. What motivates them? What challenges do they face? What outcomes would make your request mutually beneficial? When your ask aligns with these factors, it becomes a conversation about possibilities rather than a simple request. Think of asking as designing a bridge. It must be strong enough to support your intentions, clear enough for others to understand, and aligned with the landscape so it connects smoothly. If the bridge is poorly built or misaligned, it will not carry your request effectively. The time and care you invest in crafting your ask increase the likelihood of success. Clarity is essential. You must know exactly what you are requesting and express it in simple, direct terms. Avoid ambiguity or overcomplication. When your ask is straightforward, it demonstrates confidence and respect for the other person's time. Timing and context are equal. The right ask delivered at the wrong moment may be ignored or declined. Consider the story of Raj, who wanted to collaborate with a renowned designer. He waited for the right opportunity when the designer was open to new projects and approached with a thoughtful proposal. Raj's timing and preparation made his ask compelling and ultimately successful. Crafting the right ask also requires authenticity. Speak from your values and your passion. People can sense when an ask is disingenuous or manipulative. Authenticity builds trust and invites others to respond positively, even if they cannot fulfill your request immediately. Another critical element is flexibility. The right ask leaves room for dialogue, for negotiation, for input. When you present your request with openness, you create space for collaboration and innovation, and you demonstrate respect for the other person's perspective. Consider the example of Naomi, a filmmaker who wanted support from a production company. She presented her project clearly and passionately, but also invited feedback and suggestions from the team. The resulting conversation led not only to funding, but to a creative partnership that enriched her film beyond what she had imagined. Crafting the right ask is both an art and a practice. It requires self-awareness, clarity, empathy, and preparation. It transforms a simple request into an invitation to collaborate and contributes to stronger connections and greater opportunities. When you learn to craft the right ask, you notice that people respond with attention and engagement. Your requests land more effectively, and the opportunities you seek become increasingly attainable. The right ask is a reflection of your vision, your courage, and your respect for others, and mastering it is one of the most powerful tools in the art of asking. Chapter 9. Leveraging rejection. Rejection is an inevitable part of asking, and one of the greatest teachers in life. Many people fear rejection so intensely that they avoid asking altogether, but the truth is, rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is information, it is guidance, and it is often the catalyst for growth. When you learn to leverage rejection, you transform it from a setback into a stepping stone toward what you truly desire. Rejection is not personal. It is often about timing, alignment, or circumstances. Think of Thomas, who applied to a prestigious scholarship program and was initially rejected. He could have seen this as failure. Instead, he treated it as feedback. He refined his application, sought advice, and reapplied. A second time he was accepted, and the experience had strengthened his confidence and clarity. The key to leveraging rejection is perspective. Every no tells you something valuable about your approach, your message, or the context of your ask. It reveals areas for improvement and highlights where adjustments can be made. Rejection is a compass pointing toward refinement and adaptation. Consider Maya, who wanted a position at an international organization. Her first application was ignored. She did not despair. Instead, she reached out politely, asking for feedback and guidance. She incorporated the suggestions she received and continued building her skills and connections. When she applied again, she was offered a position. Her persistence and willingness to learn from rejection turned a closed door into an open pathway. Rejection also builds resilience. It strengthens your capacity to handle discomfort and uncertainty. It teaches patience and persistence, and it helps you separate your identity from your outcomes. When you stop seeing rejection as a verdict on your value, you free yourself to ask boldly and consistently. Another important aspect of leveraging rejection is gratitude. Even when a request is declined, you can respond with appreciation for the consideration and the time given. This approach maintains relationships and keeps doors open for future opportunities. Consider Sarah, a young artist who was rejected by several galleries. She responded graciously each time and maintained connections with the curators. When the right opportunity arose months later, those same relationships led to an invitation for an exhibition that changed her career. Rejection can also inspire creativity. Sometimes the response to a request reveals ways to approach your goals differently, or leads you to opportunities you had not considered. Think of an inventor who pitches a product and receives critical feedback. Instead of giving up, they iterate on their design and develop a solution that is stronger, more marketable, and ultimately more successful than the original concept. The art of leveraging rejection lies in embracing it as part of the journey. It is not an endpoint. It is a signpost. It tells you that you are engaging, that you are trying, and that you are on a path that requires refinement and courage. Every no is a lesson, and every lesson brings you closer to the yes that aligns with your vision. When you learn to welcome rejection, you notice a shift in your mindset. You become fearless in asking, resilient in pursuing your goals, and creative in finding solutions. Rejection transforms from an obstacle into a resource, and every experience strengthens your ability to navigate the path toward what you want. By viewing rejection as a teacher, a guide, and a tool, you turn it into one of the most powerful elements of the art of asking. It fuels growth, sharpens strategy, and deepens your understanding of yourself and the world around you. The most successful askers are not those who never face no, but those who know how to leverage every no into a step closer to their dreams. Chapter 10. Asking in Personal Life. The art of asking is not limited to careers, business deals, or professional opportunities. It is equally transformative in personal life. Relationships with family, friends, partners, and community flourish when we learn to ask with clarity, confidence, and care. Many people struggle in personal life because they assume others should know their needs or feelings, but unspoken desires often lead to frustration, resentment, and missed opportunities. Asking in personal life begins with honesty with yourself. This does not mean demanding or manipulating. It means communicating sincerely, vulnerably, and with empathy. Consider Emma, who wanted more support in her household. She initially felt burdened and frustrated, but hesitated to speak up. She realized that her family could not read her mind, so she chose to ask. She explained calmly and clearly what she needed and why it mattered to her. Everyone was willing to contribute more, and her relationships deepened because she had created space for mutual understanding. Asking in personal life also involves listening attentively to the responses you receive and adjusting your approach when needed. Relationships are dynamic, and sometimes your request may require negotiation, compromise, or timing. This is not weakness, it is respect and flexibility, essential elements in meaningful connections. Think of Alex and his desire to strengthen friendships that had grown distant over time. Instead of waiting or feeling lonely, he reached out, asked for time to meet, and shared his intentions to reconnect and support his friends' lives as well. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and it sparked renewed closeness and trust in his relationships. Vulnerability is a key aspect of asking personally. It is natural to fear rejection, judgment, or disappointment, but expressing your needs honestly allows intimacy and connection to grow. When you take the risk to ask with authenticity, people often respond with compassion and generosity, even if the exact answer is not what you expected. Asking in personal life is also about gratitude and reciprocity. Every ask you make offers a chance to build mutual respect. When you ask for support, guidance, or help, and follow with appreciation, you strengthen bonds and create cycles of trust and care. Consider the story of Lina, who wanted to travel with her partner and experience a deeper level of shared adventure. She expressed her desires openly and invited her partner to share theirs. She asked for their input, listened, and together they planned a journey that strengthened their connection far beyond the trip itself. The process of asking and listening nurtured collaboration, understanding, and joy. Another important aspect of personal asking is self-advocacy. Asking for your needs is not selfish, it is necessary for well-being. When you clearly communicate what matters to you, you set boundaries, reduce resentment, and foster relationships built on honesty and respect. The art of asking in personal life transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful exchanges. It allows you to create relationships that are honest, supportive, and fulfilling. It teaches you to move beyond assumption expectation, and silence into clarity, courage, and connection. When you integrate the principles of asking into your personal life, you notice that your relationships become richer, communication becomes easier, and conflicts diminish because you are practicing clarity, authenticity, and listening. The act of asking strengthens bonds, nurtures intimacy, and invites the support, understanding, and cooperation that every meaningful relationship requires. The power to ask is the power to connect, and when you wield it thoughtfully in your personal life, you create a foundation of love, trust, and mutual growth that becomes one of life's greatest rewards. Chapter 11. Asking in the workplace. The workplace is one of the most important arenas for practicing the art of asking, because careers, growth, and collaboration depend on communication. The ability to ask effectively can determine the trajectory of your professional life. Many people hesitate to ask in the workplace out of fear of judgment, rejection, or appearing incompetent. Yet the opposite is true. Those who ask thoughtfully and confidently are often seen as proactive, capable, and driven. Asking in the workplace begins with clarity about what you want and why it matters to your team, organization, or personal growth. When your request aligns with broader goals, it is more likely to be met with support. Consider James, a marketing analyst who wanted to lead a new project. He approached his manager with a clear plan, explaining how his skills and initiative would benefit the team and the organization. His proposal was met with enthusiasm, and he was given the opportunity to lead a campaign that later became a highlight of his career. Listening is equally critical in professional asking. When you understand the priorities, concerns, and constraints of your colleagues or supervisors, you can frame your request in a way that resonates. People respond positively when your ask demonstrates awareness of their perspective and contributes to shared goals. Think of Sophia, an engineer who wanted to implement a new workflow to improve efficiency. Her first attempts at proposing changes were ignored because they focused only on her own needs. But after listening to her team's pain points, she reframed her ask to address their challenges as well. She presented a solution that solved multiple problems and received full support. Her success came not just from asking, but from listening and aligning her request with collective interests. Confidence is vital in professional settings. Confidence communicates competence and vision. It does not mean arrogance, but rather clarity in your value, preparation, and purpose. When you ask with confidence, your colleagues and supervisors are more likely to take your request seriously. Consider Marcus, who wanted a promotion but felt intimidated by the competition. He prepared thoroughly, outlined his accomplishments, and clearly articulated his vision for the role. His confident ask demonstrated readiness and resulted in the promotion he had sought. Persistence and patience also play a crucial role in workplace asking. Many organizational decisions take time and repeated, thoughtful engagement may be necessary to achieve your goals. If your first request is declined, see it as an opportunity to refine your approach, gather more information, and try again strategically. Asking in the workplace is also about building relationships. When you ask for advice, mentorship, or collaboration, you demonstrate initiative and openness to learning. This strengthens your network and positions you as someone who contributes meaningfully to the environment rather than simply taking. Consider Aisha, who wanted to secure a partnership with another department. Her first attempts were met with hesitation, but she continued to engage colleagues respectfully, asked for insights, offered help, and listened attentively. Over time, she built trust and a strong professional relationship, eventually achieving a collaboration that benefited both teams. Finally, professionalism in asking means framing requests with respect, clarity, and timing. Avoid vague demands or rushed communication. When you prepare, understand context, and deliver your ask thoughtfully, you show respect for others' time and priorities, increasing the likelihood of a positive response. When you master asking in the workplace, you notice doors opening naturally for opportunities, promotions, collaborations, and mentorships. The art of asking becomes a tool for growth, influence, and meaningful contribution, and transforms your professional life from passive participation into active engagement. Asking in the workplace is not just about getting what you want. It is about creating value, building trust, and contributing to a culture where dialogue, initiative, and collaboration flourish. The confident, thoughtful, and empathetic asker becomes an agent of opportunity and transformation in every professional environment. Chapter 12. Negotiating through asking. Asking is not only about requesting, it is also the gateway to negotiation. Negotiation is the art of finding alignment between your desires and the needs of others. It is a dynamic conversation that requires clarity, empathy, confidence, and flexibility. Many people see negotiation as conflict or confrontation, but when approached as a collaborative process, it becomes a powerful way to create value and opportunities for all involved. Effective negotiation begins with preparation. Before you enter any conversation, you must know exactly what you want and what you are willing to compromise. Consider Daniel, a project manager who wanted additional resources for his team. He listed his objectives, anticipated objections, and identified which elements were flexible and which were essential. By being clear about his priorities, he approached the conversation with confidence and focus, increasing his chances of success. Listening is central to negotiation. Asking the right questions and paying attention to responses allows you to uncover interests and motivations that are not immediately obvious. When you understand what the other party truly values, you can craft solutions that satisfy both sides rather than focusing only on your own agenda. Think of Rachel, a software developer negotiating a partnership with another company. She asked questions about their goals, constraints, and priorities, and listened carefully. She then proposed a plan that addressed their needs while advancing her own objectives. The result was a mutually beneficial agreement that might not have emerged without her attentive listening and thoughtful ask. Confidence in negotiation is essential. Confidence does not mean insisting on your way or disregarding the other party's needs. It means presenting your case clearly, articulating your value, and maintaining composure even in challenging discussions. When you demonstrate confidence, people are more likely to take your requests seriously and consider your proposals carefully. Persistence and patience are also critical. Negotiation often involves multiple conversations and adjustments to proposals. Consider Lena, a marketing director negotiating a new contract with a vendor. The initial offer was far from her expectations, but she engaged respectfully, provided rationale for her position, and adjusted her approach over several discussions. Ultimately, she secured favorable terms that benefited both parties. Persistence and patience in negotiation allow you to navigate obstacles without burning bridges. Flexibility is another vital element of negotiating. Through asking, being open to alternative solutions and creative compromises strengthens relationships and increases the likelihood of reaching agreement. When you demonstrate adaptability, you signal collaboration rather than confrontation. Consider Miguel, a freelance designer negotiating a project with a demanding client. He presented his requirements clearly, but also invited discussion on timelines, deliverables, and budget. He listened to the client's perspective and adjusted his proposal accordingly. The final agreement satisfied both parties, strengthened trust, and established a foundation for future collaboration. Finally, framing your ask in negotiation is essential. Words, tone, and context matter. Present your request respectfully, clearly, and with supporting reasoning. When you communicate thoughtfully, you reduce resistance and open the door to dialogue. Negotiating through asking transforms requests into agreements, conflicts into collaboration, and desires into shared outcomes. By combining clarity, confidence, listening, patience, flexibility, and respect, you turn negotiation into a skill that empowers you to create value for yourself and others. When you master negotiation through asking, you notice that even difficult conversations become opportunities. People respond positively, trust grows, and solutions emerge that you might not have imagined at the outset. The art of asking evolves into the art of aligning interests, fostering collaboration, and achieving results that elevate both you and those around you. Chapter 13. Asking for mentorship and guidance. Mentorship is one of the most powerful ways to accelerate growth and achieve your goals, and asking for guidance is the key to unlocking it. Many people hesitate because they feel they might be imposing or fear rejection. But mentorship is built on connection and willingness to share knowledge. When you ask thoughtfully, you create opportunities to learn from experience and to gain perspectives that would otherwise take years to discover. Asking for mentorship begins with clarity. You must know what you hope to gain and what you can contribute in return. Consider Jordan, an aspiring entrepreneur who admired a successful business leader. He approached the leader with a clear explanation of his goals, the challenges he was facing, and the guidance he hoped to receive. He also expressed what he could offer in terms of perspective, energy, or assistance. The leader agreed to mentor him, and over time the insights he gained transformed both his approach and his business outcomes. Listening is critical in mentorship. Asking for guidance is only the first step, but receiving it effectively requires attention, reflection, and application. When you listen actively, you demonstrate respect and commitment, which strengthens the mentor-mentee relationship and encourages ongoing support. Think of Sophie, a young scientist seeking mentorship from a senior researcher. She asked thoughtful questions, took careful notes, and applied the advice she received consistently. Over time, the mentor began to invest more deeply in her development, offering opportunities, introductions, and insights that accelerated her career far beyond what she could have achieved alone. Confidence matters in asking for mentorship. Your request should reflect belief in your potential and a genuine willingness to learn. Confident askers communicate that they are committed, responsible, and ready to take action on guidance, rather than expecting answers to solve everything for them. Persistence and patience are essential. Mentorship relationships develop over time and require repeated engagement. Thoughtful follow-ups, reflection on advice, and demonstration of growth reinforce the relationship. Consider David, who asked a senior executive for career guidance. Several initial attempts were politely deferred, but he continued to demonstrate commitment to learning and eventually built a mentorship that guided him through multiple career transitions. Flexibility and humility are equally important. When seeking guidance, be open to feedback, even when it challenges your assumptions or requires adaptation. Being receptive creates trust and allows mentors to provide their best insights without hesitation. Consider Maria, a designer who sought mentorship from an industry veteran. She approached with a clear vision of her goals, listened to challenging feedback, and applied it diligently. The mentor was impressed by her openness and initiative, and introduced her to key networks that would have taken years to access on her own. Gratitude is a crucial component. Asking for mentorship is also about acknowledging the time, experience, and generosity of the person guiding you. Expressing appreciation strengthens bonds and encourages ongoing support. The art of asking for mentorship and guidance transforms learning into a partnership. It moves beyond transactional requests and creates relationships rooted in respect, curiosity, and shared growth. By cultivating clarity, confidence, listening, patience, humility, and gratitude, you create a foundation for mentorship that opens doors to opportunity, insight, and accelerated progress. When you master asking for guidance, you notice doors opening in unexpected ways. Mentors introduce you to networks, share hidden knowledge, and help you navigate challenges more effectively. The art of asking evolves into the art of learning and growth, turning curiosity and ambition into actionable insight and transformative opportunity. Chapter 14. Asking for opportunities beyond comfort zones. The greatest growth often lies just beyond the edge of comfort, and asking for opportunities in that space is both exhilarating and intimidating. Most people hesitate because venturing into the unknown triggers fear, uncertainty, and self-doubt. Yet it is precisely in these moments that asking becomes transformative, because it pushes boundaries, expands skills, and reveals potential that otherwise remains hidden. Asking for opportunities beyond your comfort zone requires courage and clarity. You must understand why the opportunity matters, what you hope to achieve, and how you are prepared to handle challenges. Consider Alex, a software engineer who wanted to lead a project in a technology he had never worked with before. Initially, he hesitated, fearing failure, but he framed his ask thoughtfully. He approached his manager, expressed his enthusiasm for growth, explained his plan to learn and adapt quickly, and requested the chance to contribute in a new capacity. The manager, impressed by his preparation and courage, gave him the opportunity, and Alex's successful project accelerated his career in ways he had never imagined. Listening and awareness are essential when stepping beyond comfort zones. Asking for new challenges is not about demanding roles or tasks, but about understanding how your request aligns with organizational needs or personal development pathways. By paying attention to cues, feedback, and context, you can shape your ask to maximize the likelihood of a positive outcome. Consider Emily, a young marketer who aspired to run a campaign in a new international market. She asked colleagues for insights, listened carefully to their experiences, and incorporated their advice into her proposal. A combination of research, preparation, and receptivity made her ask compelling. And she was entrusted with the project, gaining invaluable exposure and experience. Confidence in these situations communicates readiness, even when you are stepping into uncertainty. Confidence does not mean knowing everything, it means showing willingness to learn, take responsibility, and adapt under pressure. When you express enthusiasm grounded in preparation, people are more likely to trust you with opportunities that stretch your abilities. Persistence and patience are critical as well, because high-risk, high-growth opportunities often involve multiple decision-makers or require timing. Repeated and thoughtful engagement is often necessary. Consider Jordan, who wanted to participate in an international exchange program. He approached coordinators multiple times, clarified his objectives, addressed concerns, and demonstrated readiness to adapt to challenges. Eventually, he secured the opportunity, which broadened his perspective and opened doors to future international collaborations. Flexibility and humility enhance these asks, because opportunities beyond comfort zones involve uncertainty. Showing openness to learning, feedback, and course correction builds trust and increases the chances of success. Consider Nina, an aspiring filmmaker, who requested to co-direct a complex project. She admitted her limited experience, but emphasized her commitment and willingness to collaborate fully. The team embraced her participation, and her contributions exceeded expectations, accelerating her professional growth. Gratitude and reflection are also essential when you are entrusted with opportunities beyond your comfort zone. Showing appreciation and acknowledging the support and guidance of those who facilitated it strengthens relationships and prepares the ground for future opportunities. The art of asking beyond comfort zones transforms fear into courage, hesitation into action, and potential into achievement. By combining clarity, confidence, preparation, listening, persistence, flexibility, and gratitude, you position yourself to access experiences that expand your skills, deepen your understanding, and redefine what is possible in your life. When you embrace this mindset, asking becomes not just a tool for receiving, but a pathway to transformation. You begin to see doors that previously felt closed. You begin to welcome challenges that stretch your abilities. You begin to understand that the greatest opportunities for growth exist precisely where fear meets action, and that the act of asking is the bridge to cross that threshold. Chapter 15. Asking for recognition and appreciation. Many people shy away from asking for recognition because they fear appearing boastful or undeserving. Yet acknowledgement is not vanity. It is a vital part of growth motivation and self-respect. Asking for recognition communicates your contributions, reinforces your value, and inspires further achievement. Recognition begins with clarity. You must understand what accomplishments, efforts, or qualities you want acknowledged and why they matter. Consider Hannah, a project coordinator who consistently delivered results but felt overlooked in meetings. She reflected on the specific projects where her contributions were significant and prepared a concise summary of her impact. She then approached her manager, highlighting her work and asking for feedback and acknowledgement. The manager, appreciative of her initiative, recognized her contributions publicly, boosting her confidence and credibility. Confidence is key when asking for appreciation. Confidence is not arrogance or entitlement. It is owning your accomplishments and presenting them in a way that is authentic and respectful. When you speak about your achievements with sincerity, others respond positively and are more likely to validate your efforts. Listening and timing are also important. Many people fail to ask for recognition because they assume it will come automatically. Yet acknowledgement is often situational and requires alignment with priorities. By observing the context, understanding the perspectives of others, and asking at the right moment, your request is more likely to resonate. Consider Marcus, a software developer who contributed to a high-profile product launch. His efforts were not immediately visible to leadership, so he requested a one-on-one meeting to review his contributions and solicit feedback. The timing, preparation, and thoughtful presentation led to recognition not only in the meeting, but also in team-wide communications. Persistence matters in asking for appreciation, because acknowledgement is rarely instantaneous. Even small, repeated requests for feedback create visibility over time. When you consistently communicate your achievements and seek feedback, you cultivate awareness among colleagues and leaders, making recognition more natural. Gratitude strengthens this process. Asking for acknowledgement is not only about receiving validation, it is also about showing appreciation for the recognition and support of others. Consider Lila, a designer whose innovative campaigns were often praised by her clients. She took time to thank colleagues, mentors, and collaborators publicly, highlighting their contributions as well. Her gratitude reinforced relationships, encouraged continued collaboration, and inspired a culture of mutual acknowledgement. Asking for recognition and appreciation is also a form of self-advocacy. It teaches you to value your efforts and communicate them effectively without relying solely on others to notice. You assert your presence, ensure your impact is seen, and cultivate confidence in your abilities. Consider the story of Diego, an academic researcher who published several impactful studies, but felt his work was underappreciated in conferences. He reached out to peers and conference organizers, shared his contributions, and asked for opportunities to present and discuss his findings. The result was broader visibility, invitations to speak, and greater professional respect. The art of asking for recognition transforms quiet contributions into celebrated achievements. It turns effort into visibility, dedication into motivation, and work into acknowledgement. By combining clarity, confidence, timing, persistence, and gratitude, you ensure that your accomplishments are noticed, appreciated, and leveraged for future growth. When you embrace this practice, asking becomes a tool not for vanity, but for empowerment. You begin to see that recognition is not merely given. It is created, cultivated, and communicated through thoughtful asking. You begin to understand that your contributions matter, Your voice deserves attention, and asking for acknowledgement is a vital step toward personal and professional fulfillment. Conclusion? The art of asking is more than a skill. It is a mindset, a practice, and a way of living. It is the bridge between desire and reality, the key that opens doors, and the compass that guides your journey toward purpose and fulfillment. Throughout this book, we have explored the many dimensions of asking. The courage to step forward, the clarity to know what you want, the confidence to speak your truth, the patience to persist, and the wisdom to listen and adapt. Asking is not about entitlement or manipulation. It is about participation. It is about recognizing that your voice matters, that your desires are valid, and that the world responds to those who are willing to engage openly and authentically. Every story in this book, from the young entrepreneur who dared to email a mentor, to the artist who followed guidance despite fear, to the professional who negotiated boldly for what they deserved, illustrates that asking is a transformative act. The principles you have read are not abstract. They are tools for daily life, applicable in personal relationships, professional growth, creative endeavors, and every space where your goals and dreams intersect with the world around you. Opportunities await. Doors are quietly open, and people are ready to support you if you have the courage to ask. When you embrace asking with clarity, confidence, authenticity, and persistence, you align yourself with possibility. Fear, rejection, and hesitation are natural companions on this journey. But they are not barriers. They are signposts guiding you toward growth and refinement. When you leverage rejection, listen attentively, and ask beyond your comfort zone, you transform obstacles into stepping stones. Every challenge encountered is a chance to refine your approach, strengthen your courage, and expand your vision. The art of asking is also the art of connection. Every request, every question, every expression of desire is an invitation to engage with others. It builds relationships, fosters collaboration, and creates a network of support that amplifies your potential. Asking is not a solitary act. It is a conversation with the world, a dialogue in which courage, clarity, and authenticity are your language. As you move forward, remember that asking is a lifelong practice. It is not confined to a single moment, a single opportunity, or a single outcome. It is a habit, a mindset, and a lens through which you perceive possibility and engage with the world. The more you ask, the more you learn, the more doors you open, and the more fully you step into your own power. Ultimately, the art of asking teaches you to claim your space, express your needs, embrace your potential, and transform your dreams into reality. When you ask thoughtfully, courageously, and authentically, you become a creator of opportunities, a builder of relationships, and a participant in the unfolding story. The world responds to those who ask, and to those who continue to ask, those who practice patience, persistence, empathy, and gratitude, discover that nothing is beyond reach, and that every possibility is within there. Grasp the art of asking is not a secret or a trick. It is a way of living fully, boldly, and intentionally. It is the path to growth, connection, and fulfillment that is open to anyone who chooses to take the first step. Step forward, speak your desires, listen with care, and persist with courage. The universe is waiting for your ask, and every door you choose to knock on holds the promise of something extraordinary at the end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.